Vanguard match. We have on the blue on the bottom here Jardozer. He's playing as Infernals. And this is a best of one against his opponent FoxeR. So FoxeR is playing here on the top right. FoxeR playing as the Vanguard, sending in that little fell of a dog first, grabbing the Therium. Those little plants on Secluded Grove can spawn in different areas, so it's always a good idea to grab them whenever you see them. There are two types. You have the type that picks up the Therium. The other one is for Luminite. So both versions are pretty good to pick up. I think the Luminite version gives a grand total of 40 Luminite. So that's a pretty good haul if you can grab it. What FoxeR is doing here is he wants to check if this stuff is getting cut through by Jardozer. A strategy that exists at the moment is that you send one imp to cut through one of these trees, and then with your guns you cannot do all of this move around, and that eventually leads you into your opponent's exposed base. So that is one of the ways that you can ensure that you're not getting that treatment at the moment. So next up is going to Barracks. So FoxeR went with a very greedy play. He went expansion first. And now he wants to fully make sure that he's not getting attacked, because he very much is worried about the potential for Jardozer to just send a party over and ruin his day that way. So he wants to make sure that that doesn't happen. He put down a barracks and is now probably making a Lancer that is going to go into the sentry post. Of course, the boss saw turret that you can make with a Lancer and a sentry post is very, very powerful. It bounces the attack, which makes it very good against fiends and even good against gaunts, because you can hit something like the brute that is in front and it could bounce. Most likely, if there are very few units, it could bounce into the gaunts behind, and that will deal quite a bit of good damage. It also has good damage overall against light units, so it's definitely something that you want to keep an eye on. And now the brutes are moving forward. A couple of them, one of them is damaged, but they want to take that vision camp away from FoxeR. That will deny the vision and will create a space where FoxeR has to stay within his base, because otherwise, if he goes and attacks the vision camp, he's basically telling his opponent, hey, you can go and see me here. And if he doesn't, his opponent is going to have perfect vision of this particular area. So there goes the Buzzsaw Cannon. And as you can see, it deals a total of 13 damage. All of these guys, they have 26. So 2 hits into this big fella is enough to kill it, and would spawn the fiends, and that'll be it. So you definitely have to keep an eye on that. And I can see FoxeR is constantly on the lookout for, you know, if there is a cut through here, getting the plant here for another 20. So he's trying to grab as many resources as possible. And now Jardozer is going to grab the resource creep for himself. That's a pretty good strategy, and one that will hopefully yield him an advantage going forward. Full expansion now on the side of FoxeR, going 10 and 6 and 7 on the Therium. So 17 and 7. And continuing to produce more and more Lancers. It seems like now he's going to switch it over to the Hornets. So he has all of the stuff that he needs. He has a long freaking thing going into the back base of the Therium side for Jardozer. And that is going to be very hurtful once those Hornets come out and they start hitting hard on that side. So the next stop for FoxeR is going to be, can you do a lot of damage with that Hornet? Is it capable of killing units? Usually you would see 2 or 3 Hornets being the number to achieve, and it is going to get spotted by the visual range, so he's going to fully know that that's happening, and it's actually going to be able to deny the third. Very excellent work with the Scout and the Hornet, and now he's going to be fighting it off. The Gaunts are very strong, but 2 Gaunts is not able to kill a Hornet. And even beyond that, FoxeR can use the shield ability that the Vanguard get on the central command to give him a couple of shields, and he's more than happy with that. He's almost rank 1, and of course ranking up in the veterancy is very, very useful. It gives you 10% more damage, but it also gives you, I believe, is 20% more health, or somewhere around that number. And so getting more and more health for your units is always a desired outcome, especially for something like the Hornet. An extra 10% of damage is also incredible. You can go from 18 damage to, I believe that would be around 20 damage or so. Not a massive jump at first glance, but it is enough to make it really, really good. And look at that. This is an incredible surround here for the side of Jardozer. He absolutely gets the Lancer, and that is going to deny the sentry post. He's going to try to repair the sentry post, which is doing a little bit of damage, and now has to call for the Hornets to kill the Guns. He's going to be putting on the pressure. Kid kills 2 Guns, going to go for the 3rd, but those Hornets are getting really, really low. Remember that Infest hits 1% of damage every for 10 seconds every second, and now it's only the Guns and a couple of Fiends left. They are going to deny the 3rd, but there are going to be more than enough Hornets here to destroy it. Unfortunately, losing the 3rd is a big problem. It means that commitment of resources has already been spent. And on the other side, the Shrine goes up for the side of Jardozer. He's going to be grabbing his 3rd and 4th at the same time. It is going to be FoxeR on the back foot for the start of this match so far. And now, 3 Hornets. One of them is fairly low health. One of the things that you can do, and I'll talk about the Scourge in a moment, but one of the things that you can do here is exactly what FoxeR is doing. You get a Repair-O-Matic by throwing a Bob inside one of the sentry posts, and look at that healing. All of your mech units get incredibly healed up, and you have 4 Hornets that are back up into space. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Shadow Flyer. So you can see them flying here. They don't have a lot of health. They don't have any armor whatsoever. What they do have is Sanguine Surge. So one of the main things that they can do is latch on to opponents, and once they see something flying like a Hornet, they will just automatically go into it hard. They'll just go, and they'll hit it pretty much no matter what. And once they do, they also apply Infest, and they have a massive AoE area of attack. We're probably gonna see one of these in action unless FoxeR recalls his units, and even then, even with the fastest speed, once you reach the hangar, you're gonna get called off. So he is able to avoid the Shadow Flyers, but the Shadow Flyers are not gonna be moving right in front. They wanna catch the new spawning Hornets that might be coming in, or the Hornets that might try to defend all of these Fiends and Gaunt Mass. It is gonna be striking the 3rd again on the side of Jardozer. We see then pulling forward, getting a couple of surrounds on the Bobs. That's a lot of damage for the Bobs, and the Fiends are completely dispensable, so you don't have to worry about them at all at this moment. So now the big fight between the Hornets and the Lancers gets one of the kills on the Gaunts. It is kind of low health now for the Hornet, and he has to target fire. It got a veterancy there, and this Hornet has a lot of veterancy, and you don't want to lose it. You should pull it back. You should pull it back. It is losing health. Once it doesn't have that armor, it's going to be very terrible, and you want to keep it. Because at this point, once it gets... No! The shield went out, and the Infest didn't. That's the main problem. The Infest on the 10 seconds is going to deal damage over time, and you're gonna lose it even if you're shielded, because the shield will despawn at the same time that the last tick of damage from the Infest goes through. Now opening up the Ethereum vein that is up close. On the other side, we can see that Jardozer has done the same. And looking at the bases, there is a massive expansion going on right now. Ritual Chamber, Conclave, Item Vaults coming down, Shadow Clef. We see 2 Conclaves on the high ground and aspire to get those Shadow Flyers to kick off. And now on 4 bases plus the Ethereum base, it is quite a bit of an economic advantage that the side of Jardozer is feeling right now. Because just at this very moment, it is when FoxeR is going to try to go for his 4th expansion, but he's going to get found out by the Fiends. A big problem here for the side of FoxeR. He's gonna have to deal with a economic disadvantage for quite a while, and one of his Bobs seems to be stuck. That'll make it even worse. So now a mess of Lancers and potentially Hornets is the thing that is going to be the saving grace for the side of FoxeR. But for how long can that match when Jardozer is even looking to go and grab the mid? And the mid base could be very problematic in the sense that unless FoxeR is willing to heavily contest that area, he's gonna be in trouble. He's very much gonna be in trouble to contest it, and it could end poorly for him. But the Hornet is gonna spot the cutoff probably, or at least the army immediately gets infested, and you don't want to get those hits. And now the Scourge, this Shadow Flyer, is going really quickly up there. It is gonna survive it, but barely. Getting attacked by one of those things is very bad, and the fourth is also getting strike down. We have the Hellborn that are throwing their hatred out into the field, and that can deal quite a bit of damage going into this side of the equation because of how much distance they get, and even on the Lancers they can be quite powerful. The only drawback of the Hellborn is that they are quite weak. You can very much kill them fast if you're not very careful with that. So now having to pull back a mass of Exos and Lancers advancing. They have good veterancy, so these are very dangerous units now. They are 10% better than before, and look at that Hornet with veterancy level 3. That is a ton of damage. Massive attack speed as well, and it's gonna die, unfortunately. Not much to be done about it. It is very unfortunate to lose such a massive units when it comes to veterancy, because veterancy is really hard to come by when you have these particular big engagements, because it means that things are going to be dying more quickly. If you can keep your units alive for longer, you're going to be in a really good position. Now we see Jardozer go for the full center. He won that fight. He's feeling confident. So he goes, throws down multiple Shroudstone, and will begin to mine all of those resources. Another big fight here on FoxeR's 4th base. He's pulling back. He has the healing aura of the med station, but even in combat, that is not a lot of health that you can recall for, and the Magmadons are also going to be pushing really hard into this particular area. The med station can do a lot of things for the Lancers, but it's not your perfect healing possession, but it is just enough to hold on. All of those Hellborns, though, they could be in a lot of trouble if they get caught up by the Lancers, but now, outside of the range, one good snipe on that Lancer that had gotten quite a bit of veterancy is going to make it very powerful. And now more and more units. Just look at how many units Jardozer is able to put out on the field by virtue of, for the most part, the recharge, the resurgence that the Infernals are able to do for 50 Animus, but also just the economic advantage plainly of having the middle, the 4th, all of this uncontested, and now a full imp wave of explosions is going to come down for the side of Jardozer. That is a lot of damage to those Exos, but they're staying alive, they're gaining their veterancy, and that's making them a little bit more tanky, it's making them a little bit more fighty. And even if they get pushed into the corner, the unfortunate thing is that the medtech doesn't have enough energy to keep everybody alive. And now with the Fiends and the Gaunts, that is going to be GG and FoxeR. GG